hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's Global Portraits for Girls webinar. I am Farah Brahimi. I'm an administrative assistant at the AGT under the umbrella of About Afghan Women for Work. And I'm also the moderator of GPG program, which is stands for Global Portraits for Girls. So we have Ms. Nita, who is an educational mentor at EAGT under About. So our educational mentor, Ms. Nita, will guide you through the application process, and she will provide her insights on the scholarship. So to tell you all, today webinar is all about scholarship for the US, especially for masters. So now let's begin. Welcome, Nita. We are really fortunate to have you here again.
Hello everyone. Nice to see everyone today. So we are going to today be reviewing scholarships in the United States. The universities that we are going to be looking at are master scholarships for the University of Southern California, Michigan State University, and also the University of Pennsylvania. Just to give a brief background for myself, I received my bachelor's from Bowling Green State University, which is a four-year university in Ohio. I received my Master of Education from one of the universities we're going to discuss today, the University of Southern California. And I recently just received, as of yesterday, my PhD from Antioch University, which is a university in Los Angeles. So let's get this started and share this group. So welcome to Global Pathway for Girls. And so before we get into the scholarships, just going to give a brief overview for the United States for people that just maybe don't know kind of about our country and just some demographics. So the United States, we refer to ourselves as US or USA. So I'll use the acronym US or USA for this webinar. The United States, we are located on the North American continent. Above us is Canada and below us is South America. We have a huge population. Usually the United States is referred to as a melting pot, and it's referred to as a melting pot because we have a lot of different racial and ethnic diversities and cultures in the US. We also have a lot of immigration, which makes up different diversities in the country. And so sports and music are really huge in the US. I'm not sure if you heard of Hollywood, which is located in California, but also the Super Bowl, and entertainment is just really big in the USA. As far as our political landscape, the US is a democracy, which means voting and personal freedom. Our slogan is the American dream. So that means that anyone that comes to America, that as long as you work hard, you can be what you want to be and achieve what you want to achieve. The US is very diverse when it comes to religion. Some of the top religions in the US are Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism, but it's very diverse overall on the spectrum. As far as the career landscape of the US is known for technological innovations. Specifically where I live in Palo Alto, is known as Silicon Valley. So we're birth to companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla, and even Adobe. Other top careers outside of technology in the US are healthcare, finance, renewable energy, and skilled trades. So skilled trades will be your artisan trades, so things like carpentry. And so the important part that's going to apply to today is our higher education system. So the US is approximately comprised of 4,000 accredited institutions. Accredited institutions are important. So let's just say if you transfer to a university and you decide, oh, maybe this isn't the university for me, you want to make sure that your institution is accredited because it will allow you to transfer a little bit more smoothly to another university. Our universities includes a mix of public universities, private universities, liberal art colleges, community colleges, and for-profit entities. As far as the hierarchical structure of it, so some people begin with community college, which is more so like your local colleges where you can get your associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. We're going to be focusing today on the college and university level. Specifically, we're going to focus on the master's, but colleges and universities in the US also offer bachelor's, master's, JDs, medicals, EDD, and PhDs. And so I'm excited to talk about this first university because this is my master's program alma mater. So we are going to be talking about the University of Southern California. The University of Southern California is located in Los Angeles, California. And specifically, we are going to be talking about the Asian Pacific Alumni Association Merit Scholarship. And we'll discuss a little bit further, very similar to other scholarships for master programs. You'll notice that at the master's level, there's a lot of scholarships that are very specific to culture. So maybe it'll say, Indian scholarship, or, maybe African-American scholarship. But I would say the process is still very similar as far as what's required for these master level scholarships. And so just a little bit about USC. USC is located in Los Angeles. We refer to it as LA. It is the most populous city in the state of California. LA is known as the Hollywood hub. So it's kind of where music, television, and the creative arts occur. USC is a huge campus. It's located in downtown LA. They have both undergraduate and graduate programs and also PhD programs. We'll focus on the master programs today. As far as graduate student housing, unlike undergraduate, so if you're an international student and you're in an undergraduate program, most of them require you to live on campus the first year just because it's your first year. For master's programs, for most of these universities, they have what they call graduate student housing. So these include more so like your studios, your 1-bedroom apartments, and your 2-bedroom apartments. But they do have options for resident halls, but usually resident halls are reserved for undergraduate. And then as far as, let's see, I will transparently say USC is one of the more expensive schools. So they average around housing around $16,000 to $18,000 per every 2 semesters. So that's pretty much per year. They do offer off-campus transportation. Most of these are similar, so they have on-campus shuttles, share riding, which is like your Lyft and Ubers. Of course, there's public transportation, and then there's also rentals, you can rent out cars. For international students, specifically USC hire not only graduate, but also undergraduate for positions on campus in their bookstore, their Department of Public Safety, their libraries, and their hospitalities. So now we are going to head into Michigan State University. Just to be background, so Michigan State University is located in East Lansing, Michigan. Specifically, the scholarship we are going to discuss today is called the MSU Non-Resident Scholarship. And so Michigan State University is a public land grant research university. So they put a huge focus on producing research. Very similar to USC, they have on-campus apartments for graduate students, fully furnished. Average price, as you can see, is a little bit lower, about $2,594, $5,188. So I always tell people, when you look at, for example, universities in California, pricing is definitely a huge thing you want to look at, especially if your scholarship isn't fully covering the cost of your living and tuition. Let's see, transportation is very similar, so they have bus services, you can rent out vehicles. Michigan State University also offers on-campus employment. And so they have a limit to how much you can work for F1 students, which looks like a maximum of 20 hours. And employment options include your curricular practical training. The next university that we are going to look at is the University of Pennsylvania. And so we'll discuss it a little later. Specifically, we're going to look at merit-based scholarships, but I also included an undergraduate scholarship, which is a bachelor's, and I'll talk about why I included that. So the merit-based scholarships is your master's scholarships, and the Dream U.S. National Scholarship is your bachelor's, and what these scholarships can lead to another. And so a little bit about the University of Pennsylvania. So the University of Pennsylvania is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's a private Ivy League university. So for those who don't know, the Ivy League universities are pretty much like the really top competitive universities. But the positive about Ivy Leagues is like once you get funded, you're pretty much taken care of when it comes to your financial aid, you're taken care of when it comes to your housing, and also when it comes to like your networking and your career networking. And so housing options for the University of Pennsylvania for upper class includes what they call community college housings. So these are pretty much your apartment style rooms. So you're like single to 4-bedroom housing. Very similar to USC, the price range is very similar because this is an Ivy League. It averages around 12,000 between 16,000 for the housing. The good thing about the University of Pennsylvania is it looks like they have a lot of internalized, meaning like Pacific on-campus transportation services. So they have their own like bus service called the SEPTA. They have what they call pan transit riders, where you can like use an app to request rides from people on campus. So they kind of have more personalized transit services. And then of course you can also use, you know, your typical public buses and share ride services. So now we are going to get into the scholarship portion of this. And I do want to say, like I said, with most master scholarship, you'll notice that they are Pacific. So specifically the University of Southern California with the Asian Pacific Alumni Association, this doesn't necessarily mean that your ethnicity has to be Asian. So they also consider people that they consider to be a part of the the Asian location, but also if you've ever done any community service work that affiliates with it. And so this scholarship is open to all international applicants. And so for people that don't know what merit-based scholarships are, these are scholarships that doesn't necessarily require like extreme application. So you're not like submitting all these test scores, you're not submitting this essay, you don't have to submit this huge portfolio. Merit means they are basing it on your admissions application. So depending what program you apply to, they're looking at things like, so for example, your GPA, they're looking at your community service, they're looking at your involvement. So merit-based scholarships are automatically considered when you submit your admissions application. And typically with merit-based scholarships, there will be like a checkbox in your admissions application saying, hey, do you want to be considered for this scholarship? And you can just check it. And if you meet those merit scholarships, then you'll get the money. As far as this specific scholarship, let's see if there's anything. The amount varies. So some scholarships, you'll notice they're very specific. They're like, we're either giving you 4,000 or we're giving you 6,000. This one does not have a cap and it doesn't have a minimum. So I tried to look up to see what they based this on. I didn't find much information. So I'm assuming from what I know from merit-based scholarships, it's based on the strength of your application. And it's also based on your financial need. So, you know, if they're reviewing your scholarship and they see like, okay, maybe they need 10,000, they might fund you for the full 10,000, but do know whenever you see something that says amount varies, it's specific per each person depending on their financial situation. As far as the eligibility criteria for this merit-based scholarship, you do need a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. So those tend to average in the US around like your grades. I'm not sure what the grade scale looks like for you all, around like the A's and B's. So average A and B grades. You must be actively involved in the Asian Pacific American community. And so that can also be, like I said, not necessarily your ethnic affiliation, but also like community service with that. And then the scholarship does require you to complete 15 community service hours. And so for this, they do require you to submit a bio, which is your biography. They require you to attend fundraising events throughout the year. You are required to do communities 10 service hours, which is your community service hours. As you see, it says applicants of all ethnic backgrounds are eligible for consideration. This should say, sorry, USC, forgot to swipe that out. And then you can submit your SAT and SAT scores. So this one, when it says SAT and ACT, it doesn't necessarily mean you're weighted on that. So they're not just looking at your scores, they're looking at like the entire application. And this application is due March 7, 2025. And just to give you, I'm just going to see what this looks like. So typically when you go to scholarships website, so this one is specifically on the association page that offers this scholarship. It tells you, for example, how much they give out per year. So it looks like they give out a maximum of 200,000. And then it lists the requirements, the deadlines, the eligibility, and then you would click on what's called new applicants. One second, let's get back to the screen. Okay, so that is the University of Southern California. As far as English proficiency requirements, you'll notice with a lot of not just masters, but even when you apply for bachelor's scholarships as an international student, you have to show proof that you are proficient in English. The good thing with USC, because I don't see this at a lot of universities, they offer a variety of ways that you can show your English proficiency. So they accept the TEFL. And if you look on the website, some of these websites specifically list the scores that they're looking for. Some of them don't, but as you can see, this one says a minimum score of 100. They accept the IELTS, the PTE, some of these I've never heard of. They accept the SAT English, the ACT English. As you see, for example, it says here, we do not accept the TEFL Plus for China. So sometimes you'll see places where they don't accept it. They accept English proficiency scores, and then they also accept your Duolingo English proficiency scores. So they accept a variety of different methods of how you can show your proficiency in English. Okay, so this next scholarship is specific for graduate students, master level students at Michigan State University. And so this is called the MSU Non-Resident Scholarship, which just stands for Michigan State University Non-Resident Scholarship. So this scholarship, very similar to the USC scholarship, has various award levels. So that means depending on the strength of your application and requirements, it determines how much you get. So for example, if you look here at award levels, the President's Scholarship is $15,000. There is a scholarship for $7,000, and then the lowest one is for $3,000. So all of these award levels that you see are a part of the MSU Non-Resident Scholarship. And so all international students that apply to MSU are automatically considered for this award. So this means that this is a merit-based scholarship. So merit-based scholarships means that your application for this award will be considered based on the strength of your admissions application of the program that you apply to. And so as far as eligibility requirements, the good thing with this scholarship is not too particular like you saw with the USC. As long as you are a non-immigrant international student in F1 or J1 status, you will be considered for this merit-based scholarship. And as mentioned before, usually when you do your admissions application, there's a section that asks, would you like to be considered for like certain scholarships based on merit? And this is what this is saying. So as far as deadlines, so some merit-based scholarships do have, as you saw with the USC, specific dates listed. Like if you want to be considered for this merit-based scholarship, you have to apply by this date. Other merit-based scholarships, they base it on the time that you apply to whatever program you're applying to. So for this specific one, it's pretty much open admission. So they base it on the time you submit your application. So you want to make sure that you're following the application deadline for your program, whatever that might be. So whether you're applying to, I don't know, like engineering or, science, follow those deadlines. And so just to give you an overview of what it looks like when you go to the website. And so on these pages, you'll also find, before we get to this one, if you look to the right, there's a tab where you can also find other scholarships. So, look at, so as you can see, this is out of state, Native American. So I would say also explore other international scholarships on the website. In most colleges, they have a page dedicated to international students for housing and transportation and scholarships. And so as we saw in the document, it lists, what's required of the scholarships, the different amounts that are offered. There's actually another scholarship here that interested me that's not on there, but I would also say to explore this one. It's called the You Are Welcome Here Scholarship. And this one, it looks like that it's a maximum of 25,000. And this is also for international students, except it's for undergraduate, not masters. And as you can see, they list other scholarships on this page. So I would say, even if you're looking at a particular scholarship, still explore other things that are listed on the website. And then as far as tips for success, as I stated, make sure that you're following the deadlines of your admissions application. And then usually with merit-based scholarships, it's very holistic, so they're not only looking at your admissions application, they're also looking at your English proficiency, they're looking at your scores, they're looking at your community service. So you want to make sure that if you are required to submit a personal statement or your personal essay, that you're really showcasing everything, not just your academics, but you want to showcase personally, like who you are as a person. And you also want to showcase your achievements, like what have you done in your community. So make sure to include your academic, personal, and community service achievements. And so very similar to USC, there are several ways that you can demonstrate your English proficiency. You can submit your TOEFL, your IELTS, your Duolingo English test, your SAT English scores, your ACT English scores. I believe this one applies to students that are in the US, so I'll skip past that. You can also submit your Pearson test of English academic scores, your completion of your Singapore English scores, and also a completion of your international baccalaureate diploma. So there's several ways to show your English proficiency. So the next university we are going to do is the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League university. So I listed 2 scholarships here, one because I don't know about the other Ivy Leagues, but with some Ivy Leagues, it's very challenging for international students at the master's level to get scholarships, especially fully funded scholarships. And so this merit-based scholarships is for international graduate students, but I did not find a lot of, to be honest, just financial options for international students. So I also wanted to list bachelor options with this, just to also give you something to take with you. So we'll start with the merit-based scholarships. So once again, remember, merit-based scholarships are automatically considered once you submit your admissions application. So at Penn State, merit scholarships provide partial tuition for full-time master students. So do know that it's not fully funded for this. They provide assistance to as many candidates as possible. So they don't have like a maximum, at this, think it depends on their funding and how much that they have. As long as you are an incoming master's student who's enrolled in a full-time master's program, when you fill out this application, you will be considered. As you see, it says the Penn scholarships are awarded to both domestic and international students, and there is no application to be considered for these. So the positive is, you don't know how much you're getting, but you don't have to apply. You don't have to submit this rigorous application. You are automatically considered with your admissions application. However, they are looking at certain things. So it says all scholarships are based on merit. So merit means the strength of your application. The awards are made at the time the application is reviewed by whatever program that you apply to. And so I do want to mention, as I said, Penn State University does not offer a lot of external scholarships for international students. It's pretty much merit when you apply. So if you are considering undergraduate, they offer a lot for undergraduate, and I just wanted to bring this to your attention. So they have a scholarship called the Dream US National Scholarship. It's kind of similar to what we call our Pell Grant. So it's, as you can see, the minimum reward amount is $16,500. And the maximum award amount is $33,000, which is very high for scholarships. They also fund you for the Dream US National Scholarship. They may fund your books, your supplies, and your transportation for an additional $6,000. So if you're looking at 33 and 6,000, that's about 40,000 maximum. This is only for the Dream US National Scholarship, not for the Merit Scholarship. You must be enrolled in one of their partner colleges. And if you look up on their website, you can find what those colleges are. Like I said, this is only for bachelor's level. So that means you must have an associate's degree or high school degree or GED. They do accept DACA students. They accept refugees and asylum students. And as far as the application requirements for the Dream Scholarships, it's open to undocumented immigrant students with or without DACA status or TPS who came to the US before November 1st, 2019. The starting date for this begins in November 2025, and the ending date begins February 28, 2025. Sorry, that should have said 2024. So November and then February of the following year. And then they accept it as late as April 2025. And so I'm just going to show you what the merit-based website looks like. The Dream Scholarship, I won't, just because that's bachelor's and we're mainly focused on master's today. Okay, so if you go to Penn State page, you'll see at the top it says funding opportunities. So most college websites, they'll have it broken down. So for example, it'll say master students, it'll say undergraduate students. Sometimes they even have a section that says international students. So this is what you want to look at. I would say still explore it. So this is the one we just looked at, which is the Penn State merit-based scholarships. And as you can see, it says there is no application for this. So you won't see a link that says apply here. You know, when you go, usually you see apply here. It's because it's submitted with your application. I would also say to explore these other tabs. So for example, like graduate assistant tabs are ways that you can make money. So also explore other parts of the master's. And then we don't have to look at that. That's for PhD. And then as far as tips for success, and I would say, you know, GPA in general is important for almost every university that you apply to, but specifically when you apply to Ivy League schools, they do put a huge weight on your academics. And so GPA and test scores are really, really important. Unlike some other universities, they more so consider everything like holistic, you know, community service, academics, who you are as a person. GPA is a huge factor for Ivy League. So you want to make sure that you have a good GPA, and I would even recommend a 3.5 or above. As far as your English proficiency, as you see, they don't offer as many, you know, requirements as we saw with USC and Penn State to show your English proficiency. So you can submit your TOEFL scores, your IELTS, or your Duolingo English test scores. And that is everything with our scholarships for today. Our scholarships.
Thank you, Anita, for sharing your insights with us tonight. So now it's time to wrap up the session. And I would like to remind our audience that if you want to stay connected with us for future opportunities, don't forget to follow us. Our media team has shared the links in the chat box, so just you can click on the links and you can follow our YouTube channel and other platforms. So wishing you all a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you all in our next session. So thank you.